Hey everybody, how's it going? My name is Strong K and I'd like to welcome you to another episode of How Does That Play Out? Thanks for clicking this, as always. And today we're going to look at Papo Yo, or Papo and Yo, which is a 3D platformer released by Minority Media. And it actually has been released for the PlayStation 3 last year in August, in summer I think. And now in April of this year, it came out on Steam for Windows. So, I took that opportunity to do like a short little video on that title. Right. So, yeah, Minority Media. First it's like the mind sort of behind this, like the designer, like the lead designer behind the game is actually Vander Caballero, who has previously worked for EA in Montreal, Quebec in Canada. So Minority Media is actually like he left EA Electronic Arts and then founded his own indie game studio, also in Montreal. So and this is the first commercial release. To give you like sort of like a little bit of background information. But let's get started here. Yeah, I was just like summoning frogs there because I just figured out how to. It's like when you highlight like an item on that list, like you spawn a new frog, and yeah, well, it's like, fun little thing here. Okay, so there we are actually in medias res. So yeah, this is us. This is the monster. So yeah, maybe like first things first. Because I already mentioned that it has been released actually for quite some time now, like last year in summer, for the PlayStation. So you're probably familiar with this title because it generated some buzz. Like it achieved, or it gained a lot of attention by the media. Not necessarily just like the indie gaming media, also like sort of like mainstream video game, magazines, if you will, or like websites, because the thing like that this game has going for it, and I'm just gonna not spoil it, but I'm just gonna get this out of the way, is that it so this game actually revolves around or deals with the subject matter of alcoholism, like alcohol abuse and domestic violence, this kind of stuff. So that's actually what it is famous for, first and foremost. But I'm going to talk about this a little later on. First of all, let's look at the the gameplay, how the game plays, the graphics, and so on and so forth. Currently playing with a keyboard, actually, mouse and keyboard. It works fine. But you can also use your Xbox 360 controller, which is cool because I'm going to switch right now. Wow, how seamless did that go? Okay, so and I actually finished this game already. So and I used for the major part used the Xbox 360 controller. So what's this game about? Yeah, it's a 3D platformer. You can already see that here. So we are playing as this guy here called Quico. Quico is a boy living in the it's like some sort of shanty town in South America. I know it's like I googled that Mr. Caballero actually hails from Ecuador, because at first like I was like, oh wait, that's like a favela from Brazil, right? Those guys, like the characters in this game, I think speak like like a Faraxan language, so like a non-language, just like gibberish that is subtitled. My apologies if that is not the case, and I just insulted like the speakers of a language I am unfamiliar with. But I'm pretty sure that that's not the case, because it would either be Spanish or Portuguese, or like maybe English or Dutch. It's definitely not English, and it's definitely not Dutch. It also is not Portuguese or Spanish, so I don't know. Maybe it's some sort of like native language, but I doubt that. So whatever the case may be, this is a South American shantytown, like a favela or like a tuhuria, or whatever you want to call it. And we are there. So we're like, and it's like the main, like I mentioned, the alcoholism and so on and so forth. So like the main relationship that we have is us, like the guy Quico here, the boy, with this guy called Monster. So and you already guessed it by now that this actually represents our dad in this game. So hope that I'm not spoiling anything for anybody here. But if you have not, or if you're not able to figure this out within the first I don't know, 5 minutes of playing this, then maybe this game is not for you after all. You know, I'm not judging people. I'm just saying that may actually be the case. Maybe you're not so susceptible for or to this kind of stuff. All right. So, and it's actually about the relation of those guys. We also have Lula, that is the robot that is on our back here, which is a toy basically, and that allows us to hover in the air, like, you know, extend our jumps. We can also call the robot because we can send her like away. I can just throw her off like that, but sometimes there are like spots where Lula can go, and then she can do stuff like open doors or activate switches and whatnot. So that's that. So basic like platform stuff. Right. So what I have to explain here, and this may not be all that obvious, I better get going actually, is that this world here is not really, it's like sort of like a dream, like a fantasy world that is created in our minds, so to speak. You can also guess that, you know, by seeing back there's like some weird shit going on, like the geometry of those buildings is kind of off. So you know, that allows us, and I'm gonna let's just like jump into it. You know, why would I talk so much anyways? Those boxes actually, yeah, some houses in there would have very special attributes. Each new house that you pile up will take you to an even higher place than before. Right. Oh yeah, we must not leave the monster behind. We can actually walk around with the box overhead, which is cool. So there's like a lot of symbolism about being, yeah, but yeah, I'm going to talk about this later. First off, yeah, how does it play? So this white stuff that we see here, we can interact with. This is like dust shit. So for example, we have this rope here, and I can only guess what this is doing. So yeah, cool. So this has this structure collapse, and then there's those things here that we can use. Oh, okay. So that's where we have to go probably. I kind of like to. See, this is what I mean. This is not Portuguese or not Spanish. Right. So the yeah, we have to bring the monster because the monster is sick, because he has an addiction to frogs. Probably gonna see those frogs later on in this playthrough here. Right. Oh yeah. By like moving around this stuff, we can actually. I'm not sure. Okay. Right. We can actually like interact with the world. So so the last time I played this, actually before I came to this part of the game, if we wound up those houses here or those shacks, oh, now they're flying. Yeah, they were like, they grew feet and they were like walking along on the ground. So oh, it lands there. So we can move around this house. Let's not leave this guy behind, right? Right. Yeah, so this is what I mean. You know, this is like kind of like all is in our mind here, you know. Okay. Those fruits that you see down there are used to attract the monster. So the monster likes fruits, like coconuts, I think they are. And so you can also pick them up and sort of guide the monster wherever you want it to be. Because, for example, some triggers here have to be activated by the monster. You know, you can see the icon down here. So what we're going to do is pick up the fruit. And as soon as the monster smells it, he wants to eat it. So let's bring one actually to safety. Because, oh, you know what, let's put one here. Because we're going to need this guy here. And one we're going to bring to safety. Usually if the monster eats them in those circles, they respawn. So that's not, you know, that big of a deal here. Let's move up here. I should probably mention that there are also frogs, like I mentioned, so the monster has a pretty serious frog addiction. And as soon as he devours one of those guys, he absolutely goes bananas and just destroys everything in its path, including us. So, you know, you can already guess what that is supposed to mean, I guess. Okay, we can like climb on the belly of this guy. and whenever he's sleeping, that is, and then just jump to like higher places, such as this one. And let's actually activate those gears. And alright, he likes to eat stuff. Where's he at? Oh, there. Dude, why don't you eat the fruit that yeah, it's respawning. Do you see that? Okay, let's get the coconut, because dude, leave that coconut be. Come with us. Come on. This is actually pretty early in the game. It's not. I think it's in Act 2. This game is, you know, divided up into 5 acts, which I like actually, because it's classic drama theory. But I'm going to talk about that later on, actually. So, well, actually, I could actually start about talking about that right now. Okay, there's a second house here. So yeah, pick this part because basically this game is like divided into various like sections, you know, that involve puzzles and whatnot. And so let's pull this down here. Can we make that jump actually? Maybe because we got the robot, right? Yeah, looking good. No, it's not. It's looking very, very bad. And this is sort of like indicative of what this game plays and feels like. Later on, it's like the pace is going to change a little bit. So hold on. What? Oh, look at that. See, I forgot there. We can climb up there and then get this house. Like stack this on top of the other houses. Because like as the game progresses, and you know, spoiler alert, you'll notice that the monster becomes like more and more like subject to his frog addiction, and gets more and more violent. Or like the periods of his like drunk or whatever frog-induced rampages become longer actually. Alright, there you go. So basically we stack up everything here. It's pretty easy. Like, you have to do some like you know, thinking here, because I've done this already. So if you want to play this for yourself, you know, please skip it, because I'm going to spoil the entirety of this section of the game. So yeah, speaking of sections, so the game is actually divided into several sections. And then, you know, each of which, like, once you solve them, you get to a new one, and then you have to use some like cunning to get through it, like do some puzzling. So it's actually more about, it's more of a platform puzzler maybe than a like a skill-oriented or like, you know, hand-eye coordination sort of oriented game. Although that is not entirely the case. We can also pick up those soccer balls here. Boom! And we can also play soccer with the monster. Although I think it does nothing really. At least I was able to finish the game, you know, without any meaningful soccer interaction with that monster. With our monster, I should say. Let's move up here, actually. Oh, that's a nice tower that we're stacking up there. Can we make that jump? Nope. But we can actually open the door here. Okay, let's pick up the soccer ball and just shoot it at some, like, shoot it over here. See, so he like walks up to there and then he throws the ball back at us. And if we're skilled enough, we can just catch it in midair. And but you know, I'm not going to do this. So I think that like once the monster has eaten all the coconuts that are on this level, it goes back to sleep again, and it picks like the nearest sleeping spot, you know, which is marked by those cardboard boxes. No, that's not true. He's going to sleep right now, so I'm just gonna chuck this thing here. And then once it went back to sleep, you could sort of like jump on its belly. and jump to places actually. Okay, let's stack up this guy. Right, so like I said, the game, like, let's talk about the game's theme for a little bit, because I have the feeling that, you know, by now you probably have gotten a feeling of like how the game plays like. Well, the thing is that you know, it's a really cool, like, I really enjoy the fact that this game actually deals with the subject matter. Whoa, look at this, of like domestic violence, alcohol abuse, and stuff like that, alcoholism, because games usually don't do that, and I like that. The problem is, and you know what, for those of you who actually very attentively follow my channel, and I don't mean this like in any judging way or whatever, you can do whatever you want to, but if you, I just posted like a presentation of, or presentation by Jonathan Blow, you know, the guy who made Braid. And he was giving a lecture on, dude, let me piece together like the exact wording. I know in like Ian Bogost called it procedural rhetorics, I think. I'm not sure. Well, basically, like I think he calls it dynamic meaning or something. So what that actually entails, just to give you like a not exhaustive, but like a sort of quick synopsis, is that you know, it's like special actions that you perform in games, you know, or like things that you encounter bestow meaning or like carry a meaning, you know, regardless of whether or not you intend it or not. So like when you do stuff, that means, especially in a game like this, you know, that is about something, you know, like oh, the coconut, you can, you know, lure the monster, you can control sort of like the monster with the coconut, and also with the soccer ball here. So the soccer ball probably represents like a fun time with your dad, you know, playing and whatnot. As do the frogs, they represent alcohol, or you know, the drug of choice, like, you know, that triggers the addiction. So this sort of thing, and you know, the same is true for like gameplay. Like for example, why, like those things that we're stacking up here and that we're able to control and like move around. So why is that actually? You know, why are those? Why can we as a child, you know, have such an influence, even if it's like a dream world, over buildings? And why is it buildings, not like cardboard boxes, and so on and so forth? So yeah, that's actually pretty interesting. So whatever, like the whole thing, and you, like the player interprets this, like, you know, you try to give it some meaning actually. Like you're trying to figure out what's behind this, like what did the author of the game you know, think, or what did he want to make us associate with that, and so on and so forth. And like at times, you know, for example, like a game that does that pretty well is The Cat Lady, for example, or even better yet, Spec Ops: The Line. You know, like last year's sort of like came out of left field and became a instant hit, an instant classic, real cool game. So like you would expect something like that from this game, and this expands actually beyond the you know, beyond any games that you would sort of expect this this notion to carry. You know, for example, well, what did I do wrong here? Well, let's jump over here. And like Jonathan Blow actually gives some pretty good examples for that, like at the end of his lecture there. You should actually check it out. It's really cool. And I also think that John Blow is a pretty smart dude. He knows a lot of or a lot about game design actually. So you know, for all the, like, if you're interested in that subject matter, or if you're like an aspiring game designer or whatnot, listen to that guy. So right. That being said, you know, and this is like one of the problems that I think this game has. I'll try to explain this for everybody who is either, you know, was not able to follow my incoherent rant here, or, you know, has not seen the video or whatnot. So the thing is that basically, you know, even though this game is like, has this in like, to like some extent, The problem with the game is, I think, in my opinion, that it's sort of, although you have those basic elements, like instead of anything else, you use like those favela houses, or like those shacks here, you know, as a not only as a backdrop, but also like employ them in the game, like meaningfully, in a meaningful way, I was gonna say, you know, to like solve the puzzles. But that's it, you know. So this is like interchangeable. It doesn't really matter for the overall statement that the game maybe wants to make about, like, you know, alcoholism and stuff like that, like a troubled childhood with an alcoholic dad. And that actually is, yeah, it's pretty hard to achieve, you know, I'm not gonna lie. This is basically one point that John Blow tries to make in his lecture, that, you know, the more complex the game gets, and the more things, like the more stuff you have in there, like a story, so like a narrative, so to speak, gameplay mechanics, then you need puzzles, and so on and so forth. You know, every thing that is actually in a game. You know, that's just gonna make it harder and harder to have, like, or to be rendered, or to be put together in a coherent experience regarding the overall message of the game, you know. Because people are gonna start wondering, so what does that mean? Why do I have houses here? Why do I have, for example, you have those puppets here that, oh, now I have the crown? Oh, because I already finished that, so no clue. Well, so why, so those are like secrets, or like Easter eggs or whatever, and they're not real Easter eggs, they're like proper secrets. So the question really is, why are they like dolls tied to a pole? And, you know, maybe it's just like a random thing, or the designer was like, hey, that kind of looks cool, but you'd be like, hey, so, you know, this is a game about you know, like problems with my dad because he's an alcoholic. So what does that mean? Why is that like you know, a doll like that, and why not something else? So, you know, this is like kind of like where I'm getting at with this. And so for like the most part, this game, especially like the middle part, like acts 2 through 4, yeah, the game kind of like neglects that whoa, let's be careful. So this becomes kind of random. So like the focus is more on like your like the proper platforming skills you need to employ, because after all, this is a platformer. May also have been like a text adventure, or like a point and click adventure, or a shooter. Maybe not a shooter, but, you know, like a sports game, or I don't know, like an interactive novel, you name it. So the medium, like the fact that this is a platforming game does not necessarily contribute or convey any added meaning, or any meaning at all for that matter, you know, in regards to the whole subject matter of alcoholism and so on and so forth. And I think this is like where, yeah, I don't know, I expected more because of all the hype that, you know, this game was able to generate. And everyone's like, hey, this is so cool, you know. And it is kind of cool. Look up, can you see anything special? Which one is the good one? I don't know. So yeah, I can see this guy. So yeah, and like as a game, like as a platformer, I gotta say this game is actually rather easy. You know, I don't know how to put that, but, you know, it's like I suck at platformers, and everybody who's been following my unepic. Oh, there's another dude. Does he have like? Oh no, I have like a sieve. That's funny. So anybody who's been following my unepic Let's Play knows that I suck at those games, and I had like zero problems to finish that one, you know, whatsoever. So, you know, it's not that hard. So if you're like an experienced, like a veteran platform player, you won't have any problems beating this in like 2 afternoons. It took me three, like 3 lazy afternoons. Like I didn't really put much effort into it. I just sort of like played it and then I finished it. Wow. Okie doke. Yeah, so it's the game is also rather short. Like those out of those 5 acts, probably only the oh, this is the thing, right? Only the middle 3 are actually like, gameplay. The first one, wait, I didn't pay attention at all. Let's just pick this one. Oh, is that the right one? No. So yeah, Monster also saves us. So yeah, it's like, I mean, I like the idea behind the fact that you gotta like take care of the monster, and your overall goal in this game is actually to cure Monster off his addiction. But he makes it actually pretty hard because whenever he's on a frog-induced rampage, he just attacks you, and that's like another thing, like. He attacks you, and then what's happening is that, I mean, you can really die in this game, which is good, I think, because that's kind of like unnecessary, at least in my book. But yeah, he just like shakes you up. I mean, and it sounds weird because especially in the context of domestic violence and alcohol abuse, he just shakes you up a little bit. He just roughs you up a little bit. Never hurt anyone. Yeah, but like gameplay wise, and this is exactly what I mean. So it gets like kind of tedious after a while because you want to simply complete the level or the challenge ahead of you. So like you willingly like approach the monster, like want to run past him, and it's like, yeah, what's going to happen? He's just going to like shake me around a little, then throw me somewhere, and I can continue on my path. And this runs sort of like, I think, counter. I mean, I didn't have really like a troubled childhood with an alcoholic parent, for that matter, so who am I to comment or even complain about that. But again, like just speaking from my like expectations, I think the to like how should I put this, to exemplify maybe what it means, because for that, like, video games are a very good medium, put you in the shoes of the guy, because it's interactive, so you're put into the shoes of this avatar who has to deal with an alcohol like that. And this seems kind of like very like it's like an annoyance, maybe. It's like, oh yeah, this guy is high on frogs, he's like shaking me up, but don't worry, like, I'm just gonna go past there. And this is just like one example of what I meant earlier by how like the gameplay and the overall message sort of conflict even in this one. So yeah, that's that. Right, so let's actually, okay, he's doing that. What we can do here is, I just want to show off real quick what how the frogs, what kind of effect the frogs have on this guy. And in order for this to happen, I'm gonna play this part of the game for a little bit. Okay, here's a... Oh, okay, there you go. Okay, moving up. Let's go over here. So you can also see the sign back there, so that says, watch out for the frogs and whatnot. So I'm just gonna do this real quick. If you connect those tubes, then like a frog will spawn, the guy will eat it, and he's gonna go crazy. So yeah, that's that. And then, like, if we actually are stupid enough to come too close to this guy, that's what's happening. Okay, so right, like I said, I mean, and then you're like, okay, I gotta go through there, so, you know, let me, like, maybe that's intended also, you know, I'm not making any comments. It just seems like kind of weird to me, actually. But that's not the main point. The main point is actually that, you know, the game focuses for long stretches on being a platformer, like a jump and run type of platformer game, and sort of not neglects, but, you know, the story behind this, like the meaning of the game, is actually of secondary importance. Let's put it that way. Right. So let's quit this real quick. Let me exit. Now you can collect the hats. I get it. Okay. I get it. I got 2 hats out of 25. So, right. Exit to the main menu. Oh yes, please. And because I just want to show off the what's that? Protection, bend into White Mountain. We're just playing White Mountain, right? Friendship, is this? Because there's like a cutscene in here that I want to show off. Alright, that's not it. Well, that was like right before, so I think, well, yeah, talking about cutscenes also, because there's also sort of like a frame narrative that yeah, it's not really satisfactorily explained, I would say, because then, you know, like in the cutscenes very early in the game, you play as Quico in sort of like the real world, where your dad is actually not a monster but like a real person. And, you know, I think there's like a story being told about like an accident, or like your dad ran somebody over in a car or something like that. I'm not really sure. But that is then like never picked up. So this frame narrative is never really closed. The game also starts with like the intro, you know, you hiding from your drunk dad in a closet, I think it is, or playing with a box or whatever. So yeah, so that's that really. Right. I have to say though, like, it sounds pretty negative, which I, you know, didn't mean it to be, because at the end, like in Act 5, the game sort of ties up the whole thing. You know, it comes full circle, and then you're like, oh, okay, this is what you mean. And then also, like, some elements of the gameplay make more sense, you know, in that context, when sort of like revealed to you what, you know, this is like sort of like the passage you come to accept that, you know, the monster is what it is, and, you know, that it has this condition. So yeah, and that is actually done pretty well. I think there's like, and then also you have instances, for example, like I don't want to give away too much, but there's like, yeah, I'm not gonna spoil this for anybody, but in Act 5, let's put it that way, there's some pretty interesting, also like game mechanic wise, like controls wise, you have some pretty interesting scenes where you don't actually do a lot, and here's like the you know, that's like the conflict. Gameplay wise, it's pretty easy, it's not that hard, you don't do a lot, you don't solve any puzzles, but, you know, the actions that you do actually carry a lot of meaning. You know, to put it that way. So, and I've kind of wished for that game to be more like Act 5, like in its entirety, you know, not just like, okay, now you got to play like for 3 acts, you got to have like a nice platformer, and then later we're going to explain to you what it actually meant. Right. So, nevertheless, it's a cool game, and I really like the fact that it deals with a subject matter that is very serious and very grave, and actually has not been dealt with before. I'm actually thinking of, because that is maybe not entirely true. There have been some games, you know, dealing with like traumata and stuff like that, childhood, bad childhoods. Maybe I'm going to do like a little mini series on that topic, you know, who knows. I'm going to pick up some of those games and present them here. Because I think it's pretty interesting, and but, you know, as far as alcoholism goes, you know, and I'm one to talk, because you may have noticed this. I'm more often than not, you know, luckily I don't have any kids, but I tend to like sometimes get smashed when I do this video, so because it's fun. But, you know, so something that actually, well, it's not that far off, you know. So I'm not saying it hits close to home, but it's actually something interesting to talk about, and you know, you can just wonder why it hasn't been like broached before. Let's put it that way. Game is currently on sale on Steam. Well, the full retail price on Steam is $14.99. So again, that's okay, like, because the game, like, visually, graphically, I like the soundtrack first and foremost. Visually, it looks nice. It's not like, it's like the latest shit, but for an indie game, it's definitely, for like a year-old indie game, it's definitely good enough. I like the colorful imagery here. That's really nice. Like the backgrounds, I really like them. Like the Shantytown, it looks cool. The soundtrack is really amazing, and you know that I'm a sucker for soundtracks, so you can actually get the whole game containing a soundtrack, or you can just buy the soundtrack also on Steam. I think that's for like $5, $6 or something. So yeah, that's pretty cool. It controls pretty smoothly, I forgot to say that, but I was really positively, pleasantly surprised by how smooth the controls are and how fair and how easy, especially if someone like me who's a big klutz when it comes to platforming games, that actually was a real delight. It's a delight to play, so good job. I talked about like what I think could be improved about this game. Overall, I do like it though. You just have to decide if $15 is, it's like an amount of money you would like to spend on a game like that, because I'm not so sure if that is the case. Because, like, frankly, if you look for a challenging platformer, you may want to look elsewhere. I mean, it's interesting in its own right because of the subject matter that it carries, but if you're interested in that, if you're interested in a narrative or like a yeah, well, if you are like me and you are interested in a game that deals with alcoholism and child abuse, then you should get it. Let's put it that way. Doesn't matter if you're good at, and then it's actually a plus. It has the relatively low difficulty on its plus side because it won't keep you from enjoying the whole experience. I just can mention like Braid in this context, which is, for me at least, like also being a platformer, 2D platformer, nevertheless, it's like freaking hard, man. And to see like to like get the full experience of how gameplay and narrative like interact, you have to be like a pretty well-versed platform player. I mean, you don't have to be like, you can't be me, let's put it that way. So yeah, the game sometimes has like little hiccups, but they're really, really like sporadic. So don't worry about that. Okay, if I go down this path, it's going to trigger the next section of the game, so I'm not going to do that. Right. So yeah, but like I said, if you're looking for like a challenge in the gamey sense, like a platformer, if you're like a veteran platformer, don't buy this expecting that you're gonna get like the challenge of your life out of this, because it definitely falls short in that category. Still a little recommendation because it's interesting enough. I like the subject matter. I like enough about the game to recommend it. Just consider the price when buying it. Maybe get it like as part of a bundle, which may or may not be the case in the future, if it ever becomes the part of a bundle. And I get like wind of this, I will put this or post this on my dashboard, so stay tuned in any case. Alright, thanks a lot for watching. This was Stormcade with Papo Yo, or Papa and Yo. I'm gonna keep saying Papo Yo, I don't care, because it's a Spanish game. The guy is actually Colombian, I think, Vandal Caballero. So yeah, that was Papo Yo. Hope you liked it. As always, link's going to be in the description. Thanks a lot for watching once again, and peace out.